All right, welcome to another episode of Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast, number 112. And let me just check the feed, and we'll get started. I'm using Ice Chat, but I can't type it in there right now, so for any of those that care.
Nobody cares, Jeff.
I know.
I care, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, we are good there. Okay, looks like we're ready to go. And recording is going. All right. Welcome to Podnutz, Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 112. I'm Jeff Halash. This is our live call-in show for computer repair techs. The call-in number is 1-888-697-0162. Let me introduce the co-hosts. We have Chris Carruthers from the Remote Support Tech team. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. It just started snowing here, and we're actually getting snow that is sticking to the ground in this great state of Michigan.
I feel so sorry for you with all the ice that's been falling off of my roof and the fact that the driveway had to be shoveled every day.
Oh, now did you do that by hand?
No. What?
Okay.
By hand.
Well, I often joke that I have 5 snowblowers here, and
Yeah, that's what kids are for, Jeff.
That's right. You know what? I was nice to them last year. I bought them a brand new shovel, so now they got 2.
No.
See, you just buy a snowblower.
No, because then I got to store it and I got to take care of it, and the labor's free. So, anyways, let me introduce our other co-host, Martin Obando from ObandoComputing.com. How you doing, Martin?
I'm doing well. It is just sprinkling here. Bring some snow my way. I enjoy the snow. Just moist and wet.
Okay, sounds good.
But it's been cold, so I've thought about having to almost scrape some ice off the cars. But it hasn't been that
where
bad.
you're located, I mean, you and I are almost in like a line. So you get the same type of weather as like what we get in Michigan, or is it different somehow?
I don't know what kind of weather you get in Michigan. It's not snowing, so I would say no on that aspect.
I mean, how much snow do you get during the wintertime?
Depends on the weather, but it's usually it varies. Maybe half inch, enough for people to go crazy, for them to close school, to them to
Okay. No, so you're almost like a southern state,
yeah.
even though you're on the West Coast. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, it's mainly wet here.
Okay.
It's wet. Yeah, and yes, Chris, the prospect of snow, they will close. I mean, it's warm. It's gonna be, the clouds are gonna go away. It's gonna get cold front moving in. There may be snow. We don't know. Okay, let's just close school. Then the day of this snowstorm, it actually just rains, and they're always like, oh. I mean, buses get chains on. The ODOT, Oregon Department of Transportation, they start sanding the snot out of everything, and they're like, snowstorm. No, just rain.
Wow.
See, we will use an ice pick to open the front door of the school.
Yeah, no.
Like, the only time that they start looking at closing the schools here is if it's really unsafe to drive, which, I mean, we're in Canada, so think about how extreme that has to be, or if visibility is so low that it's dangerous for the buses to be driving, and then that's it.
Nope.
Oh no, we make them walk to school.
Well, my kids could walk to school.
Walk. That's all right.
That's the other thing. If the buses get canceled, the school's still open. The buses just don't run.
Well, if the buses get canceled, there's no school. Like you can't have the buses not canceled and school. They just won't do that.
Sure you can.
Well, yeah,
we do it here all the time.
Yeah, well, you're in Canada.
Wow.
You wind up with half of the school there, half of the school not there because you have a bunch of walkers, and then they just watch movies and play games all day.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, go to school.
Okay. No, I'm done. I've been done for a long time, and I'm not going back.
If somebody
not you.
But if somebody told me you go to a place and you sit down for 6 hours a day and watch movies and do nothing, I would totally jump on that right now.
Right?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yes.
Like, I like to get in trouble and get sent to my room. You go to your room and you think about what you've done, and you stay up there where it's nice and quiet and none of the kids are bothering you, and you just get to do what you want to do.
There you go.
Whatever I've just done, I'm going to do it every day for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. All right. Well, now that we've talked about our weather and how our schools run and everything, let's get back into what
politics.
we're here to talk about.
Sorry.
No, yeah, not politics.
Oops.
Even though I'd love to, but no.
Hang on, I got to throw out all my cue cards.
I think we're going to start off with an email, and it's just a short email, but I wanted to read it because I've been reading emails on the show. And this one it says, I often use datamike.net to access links to other sites. The datamike.net address now pops up a GoDaddy renewal deletion page. Do you have any information about Mike Evans dropping his datamike.net domain? Thanks for all the Podnutz work you do. Blaine Newman. Thank you, Blaine, for the email. I haven't been to datamike.net in years. Are you guys familiar with that site at all?
No.
I have never seen it, but I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. So, I looked it up. Now, what I did let Blaine know is that Mike Evans is still on Twitter, and, you can probably get a hold of him there and find out what he's doing, with the website. Like I said, it's been years since I've been there, so it sounds like he put together a bunch of links where you could get to tools and different things for, computer repair. So.
Would this be kind of like the what's that? GE Geek?
GE Geek. I would assume, but like I said, it's been a long time. I remember hearing about it years and years ago, but so maybe he's just decided to take a little vacation from that and do some other things.
Yeah, domain expired on December 26th.
Yeah. So, anyways, that being that, but I thank you for the email, and I don't have any further information on that other than the email response that I sent back and said just contact him on his Twitter account and find out what's going on. So I think today, well, let's start off with this. Chris, is there anything that's you got any good stories from what you've been doing this last week and a half?
Yeah, I mean a lot of it involving customers not really understanding what they're looking at.
No.
That's right. I mean, who would have thought that could possibly happen? And then you wind up with the call of, my computer has a virus. Okay. Completely legit. I take this call like 50 times a day. What's going on with your computer? Nothing. Okay. But what's happening? What's on the screen? Can you describe to me what happens when you turn the computer on? Okay. I turn the computer on, and then nothing. And that's about the time when you just want to quit. And then you find out that the power cord's not plugged into the desktop.
Oh. No.
Yeah.
So let me guess. The cleaning lady came by, hit the power cord by accident, knocked it out of the computer, and it never got put back.
Sure. Why not? Hey, that's not my job. I'm not going to find out why the power cord was unplugged. We plugged it in, and everybody was happy. But here's the question that I have. Okay. What websites are these people reading? Or who are they talking to? When your computer doesn't power on translates to, I have a virus. Because I want to read these websites. I want to know where they're getting this information.
Right.
I have a feeling that the word virus is just the catch-all phrase now. It's the, you know what I mean? If something's wrong, I must have a virus. And I've been there, and I have the same, I've got the same thing. People will call me and say, I have a virus. I'm like, what's wrong? This is that. And I'm like, well, that's not a virus. That just means like your caps lock is on. Something along those lines.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Or I'm typing, and these weird symbols are showing up, and it's because it switched them to the French keyboard, so you have to Control-Shift to get rid of it.
We don't have that too much here in America, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here in Canada.
Oh, man.
I don't know if you've ever noticed, Jeff, sometimes whenever I'm typing to you in the chat, and then I wind up with like an E with an accent on top of it.
Oh, I thought that was just your Canadian accent coming across the IRC.
That's not my accent coming through. That's me accidentally hitting Control-Shift at some point while I was typing. And so you hit it again, and it switches between English and French keyboard.
Is that on every standard, Canadian setup?
I think it's standard on a Windows computer. I don't think it really matters what. Like, if you take a look, well, you got what, Windows 8 now.
Yes.
Do you not have right next to your time there, do you not have like English US?
Right next to the time. I
Yeah.
think I know what you're talking about.
It's the keyboard or just a little keyboard icon, and you can change what language type of keyboard you have. And French keyboards aren't just in Canada, so I would like to think that we're not the only ones that have that problem.
I'm wondering if it's an international, like, if you get, what is it, Pro and above, you get all the different language packs come with Windows automatically, or the Ultimate version or whatever.
Yep.
I've normally had to shut those things off so that they don't, they don't actually come in there. But okay, the window does not change to me when I talk.
Should be. I'm talking to you? No.
Yeah, it got you right there.
It's still you.
No, I got you.
Click on Jeff's face.
Yeah, you might have it clicked on.
You probably have him.
Or have me clicked.
Nope, because it switches back and forth between Jeff and Chris.
Oh, that does that to me too. I've never really.
Okay, I think that's because I'm in control. I don't know why, but
interesting.
Jeff's a control freak.
Because in Geeksters, I can see myself when I talk, and that's weird.
Okay, that is weird because I can. Well, yes, because you're actually running the YouTube chat. So now that you're a guest, you don't get.
It's weird. It's weird to be. It's weird to be below somebody.
So you're not below me. You're
I'm so used to looking down that when I have to look up, it's a little no. It's different muscles in my neck I don't have to use very often.
Oh man, I'm really starting to get a strain from this. Jeez.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Does this show come with free massages? Because in Geeksters we provide that. Tim and Jeff get free.
There you go.
Everybody reach your arm out. Okay. Yeah.
That's right. Everybody go to the left one. There you
go. So anyway, you have this problem where people are switching the language on their keyboard. And why is it only French and English?
I am assuming that's just because I don't know.
Okay.
You know what? It's probably because those are the language packs that come standard. Maybe it has something to do with localization. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. That would be an interesting question. If somebody knows the answer to that, please let us know, because I'm not familiar with the whole language thing. Anyways, so anything else going on besides people not plugging their power cords in before they try to power their computers on?
Yeah, I mean everything else is pretty much same in, week out, right? I've got a virus on my computer. I'm getting these pop-ups. This thing's telling me to call this toll-free number that I don't recognize because I clearly have an infection. And it's just it's always the same stuff, week in, week out, right?
Now, well, let me ask you this though. Even though it's the same stuff, are as far as dealing with customers though, are there some really weird ones where it's hard to get the point across, or are you able to pretty much remote in pretty easily to all the computers and get them fixed right up?
Generally, I mean, you wind up every once in a while with like, a weird error message, and you get to know what the error messages mean. So like, there's certain errors that'll pop up when whatever infection they have through a proxy in there. So you just got to walk them through taking the proxy off and reconnect. Or like weird security errors, like I can't download this file because my security settings don't allow me to. Okay, let's reset IE. It's now after a little while it becomes routine.
How do you get them to clear the proxy settings?
Same way you would: tools, internet options, connections, LAN settings. Uncheck the box.
Okay, I just want to let our audience know actually how we would do that.
Oh, see that? He was testing me.
Yeah, it was a good test.
See if I could throw that out of there.
So, if I was to say do this, how would I do that?
Exactly.
Hang on.
We're doing it the same way. Go ahead.
And this is why I have my cell phone underneath right here, so that I can type outside of C, and I'm Googling everything. You have no clue.
There you go.
Done.
Before you ask me a serious question, if you could just say the word "Okay, Google," that would just help me. And then go ahead, and then I can definitely answer the question before that.
We're gonna start every conversation with "Okay, Glass." We need to get those for the show. That's what we need to do now.
Well, what's funny is now that you say that, I had my phone sitting on my desk, and I didn't realize this. I don't know if it's the phone I had or the other phone didn't do it, but. It's basically, it was sitting on my desk, and as long as it has a home screen up with the search bar in it, if I say "Okay, Google," it'll ding, and start to take down whatever I'm saying. And I was like going, I didn't realize it did that. It kind of caught me off guard. I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, And I said, I don't even think I said okay Google, but I said something remotely close with Google in it, and it just went. I'm like, oh, well, that's very interesting. So now I'll tell you, my kids, they actually learned how to use a little microphone in the search bar on Google because they're 10 and 7, and their typing skills are not real great, and they talk to their search engine to get to whatever Minecraft website they want to get to, which I thought was they floored me because here's the thing, I never showed them how to do that.
And only Minecraft.
Well, the Minecraft YouTube videos, or they try to find a certain server or whatever.
That's all the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, but it was very interesting to me that people are actually. I've never used it, even though I've seen that microphone sitting in the Google, bar there for years. But my kids just picked it up just like that. So what does that tell you about the next generation coming up?
They're all going to be lazy.
American and French keyboards are going to, or sorry, English and French keyboards are going to go away.
Yeah. Won't have to worry about that anymore.
Whoa, keyboardless. Oh, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
No.
We're going to have like withered hands. What do we do with these stumps? Just walking around.
Well, and today in news, we no longer have people walking around with carpal tunnel, but now they have all gnarled fingers because they're not used.
I remember the day when I used to be able to type.
That's right.
I still remember when, Dragon Assistant, like I picked up my Lenovo laptop and Dragon Assistant was on there. I'm like, oh man, that's going to be sweet. I can just put on my headset and I can dictate to it. And then I realized that, I type really fast. And if I stop typing, that's going to go away.
Yeah. Right.
I don't want to lose that.
Right. Yeah, and I'm trying to get better at typing, because it's just easier to do things that way instead of sitting there hunting and pecking. Even though I've known how to type for a long time, it's one of those things where I try to advance my skills because I still really honestly think typing is going to still be important for many years to come. Unfortunately, but
yeah, but then you wind up with gamepads like this.
Oh yeah.
And then you try to tell this is for those who aren't watching, it's the Razer Tartarus. We picked those up, and I found out very quickly that I don't really like using a keyboard while gaming anymore, but I hate not being able to type out to people in chat.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So then you want if we go keyboardless on these computers, we're going to wind up with a lot of I think a lot of problems for the old school people. But hey, the kids, they just pick up everything, right?
Well, I just want to talk to my computer.
That's all you want to do?
Bad guy on the left. Bad guy on the left. That's what yeah.
That's and then it shoots it for you.
That's right.
Your other left. I just want to come in and just be able to say Earl Grey tea hot. So
there you go.
There you go. And then it just energizes. What you're talking about though is an aimbot. So I'm a little disappointed now.
Oh, that's true. That would take like no skill. No. So your AI friends can get the bad guy, not for you. I think you would still control yourself using a controller of sorts, whether it be keyboard, mouse, which I prefer. But
it would be one that you wouldn't use your hands for. So now we're talking about like what, tracking opticals? Ooh,
with your eyes.
Ooh, okay. Blink twice to move forward.
There you go.
I think we need
that's a whole lot of blinking.
Yeah, that's true. Are you batting your eyes at me?
I know. Wait, are you seizing? Are you actually? I'm moving forward. Leave me alone. I'm running.
Yeah, clearly we need some help in this department coming down the road. But, anyways, all right. So it sounds like your day-to-day business is still going strong, and nothing other than people not plugging their computers in.
Yeah.
Martin, how about you? How about what do you got going on in your shop there?
Things are good. Things, picking up some. Looks like I'll maybe get some new clients coming up here. It's the holidays, so things kind of dip down for a little bit. I don't know if it actually did, or if they're just storing everything till tomorrow. So I'm kind of tomorrow is going to be better. It's kind of get out of the broken up work week and actually kind of get back into a rhythm. I have a feeling that tomorrow is going to be just a tad bit crazy.
Okay.
I just have a feeling that people are just storing up. This happened to me, on the 24th. I didn't want to call you, but the computer's still on fire. Should I put it out at some time? Like, I don't know. I thought I could call the IT guy. But no, things are going really well. Haven't really, couple new computer deployments over the holidays.
Okay.
Not because people were getting new computer. I mean, they did, of course, but it wasn't. It was kind of a planned deployment. It wasn't surprise. You got a Christmas present. One of my clients did get a new laptop, so put antivirus on that. Just nothing Nothing too crazy here. Same stuff.
I mean, are you getting any types of, you do hardware and stuff too in your business, right?
A little bit of hardware.
Okay.
Mainly, yes, I kind of do it all.
Gotcha.
So,
'Cause
but I don't have a shop though.
Right. Well, a lot of people. Okay, so let me just preface this. I consider the office I'm sitting in here right now, my little 10 by 10 room, is my shop.
Right.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is where I do my work. I actually do it in a closet, which that's a whole nother story. But anyways,
must not make jokes.
Moving on.
Anyways, so no, I just think that are you getting any types of any hardware breaking that's like you're getting a rash of them, or virus removal, stuff like that?
No, a lot of malware.
Okay.
And it's normal stuff. It's Adobe popped up and Flash said I needed something, so I said yes. That's fine. Little D72, and I get up and running, clean them out remotely.
Right.
I'm going to be coming up here. Demoted a server over the holidays, shut it off, got it offline. Went ahead and made just little changes like that. Nothing. I'm not seeing a rash of anything. Since I don't do a lot of break fix. It kind of just depends on what's going on out in the field. But it's all been really good. Enjoying it, growing. So I had a nice hour conversation with my bookkeeper accountant the other day, and kind of looked at what 2013 held, what 2014 held, and then kind of projecting what 2015 holds, and just going to be making some plans on changing that and growing.
So you're in the growth mode right now.
Yeah.
And then now you're looking at, are you getting to the point where you're going to have to hire somebody, or you're going to have to partner with somebody or something?
Yeah, I've kind of been there for a while. We've talked about maybe partnering. I have a friend that I can call on. He can call on me. We've talked about actually becoming a partnership together. And then after just sleeping on it and really spending a lot of time just kind of talking about it, it may not be the best idea because it's really kind of it's good to have two bosses. So it's always going to be 51-49 no matter how you go into it thinking it's always going to be 50-50. And while this person's really good and he's a really good friend of mine, I don't want to risk that to becoming an issue and losing a friend over a business partnership. While it had good intentions, it just may not work out. And it may be great. I know people who are business partners and they just get along and everything is really, really good. But I think that's the exception, not necessarily the norm. And
right.
And I'm not really. I don't really want to risk putting his business and my business on one pot, shaking it up, and then saying, well, I hope this really turns out, and then what happens if it does fall apart? So I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to probably just call on him as needed when there are some roles that he can do while I'm out of town or when I need to take a vacation. He does the same with me, which is really nice. But I will be actively looking to hire somebody. I'm at that position. The problem is that right now it's just me, and the first person that doubles my company, and that's a big step. And then everything after that, it's a smaller step. But the first doubling of my company it makes me nervous.
Sure.
I'm not too nervous about the monetary side of it. I'm nervous about the representation side of it.
Yeah.
Because it's me. My name is my company.
Right.
I've grown this company not through major advertising, but just word of mouth and people saying that this is a really good tech and he treats you very well. Well, now if I hire somebody and that person goes out there and he's not good or she's not good, what do I do? So I've been trying to decide whether or not I want to hire a tech to put them out in the field, or whether I want to hire somebody on the business side and bring them more in-house, and they handle calls, they handle tickets, they handle all that. You know what I mean? It's where do I want that person to represent? Or where should I represent? Because if they're more in-house, then really they're just taking calls and they're ordering and they're what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. That's not really the face, but if I send them out in the field. So
that is a big decision to make. I mean, it really is, and it's tough to think about what it is you want to have, and I've often struggled with this. And I'm nowhere near that point, but when I get to that point where I can, I take this into a full-time business, I know that I'm going to have to make those decisions, and it's hard because people, they like talking to me, and but I think there's still a way to get it to work, with somebody else. But how do you do that? And I think those are good questions to ask yourself. Do you bring somebody in house, or do you partner up with somebody, or those types of things? I think the only thing that I think with partnering, it's not that I think it can work, and I definitely think there needs to be a contract, even if it's between two best friends, just so that, hey, if this doesn't work out, we can part ways amicably and be better for it, and hey, we weren't going to work well together, or that type of thing.
Right.
So because definitely don't want to lose those friendships and stuff out there.
Right. And while that sounds great on paper, I have a feeling that's not real life. I mean, you see that all the times in any kind of relationship. Something that's supposed to work out well. So, and unfortunately, and that's just me. This is just me. My call is that I don't think I'm willing to. I don't want to take that risk and lose, a friend over a 51-49 split of who's going to be the boss and who's not, and how's that really going to work out. And well, you took more vacation days than I did this year, and then all these little things, just like any relationship, all these little things really don't mean anything until that one day somebody doesn't put the toothpaste on the cap on correctly, and all of a sudden, many years of resentment are like.
I know. I hate it when my employees do that.
I encourage. That's one of the things I'm going to encourage my employee. Please brush your teeth. Always place it.
Yeah.
But that's. I just don't want that, and I'm afraid I'm not willing to take that risk. And maybe that's me just being very cautious. But that's I value my friendships, and I value those people that I can call on for experience and knowledge of something that I don't have yet. And I don't know if I necessarily want to throw that away for resentment because they got to take 3 weeks of vacation and I didn't.
Yeah, and honestly,
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, sorry. Every partnership that I've ever seen has ended in lawyers, and it just I think that it's inevitable unless both of you started off at the beginning and grew everything. And you agree on things, which is just not human nature. When you're starting a business, most people starting a business, they're not doing it because, hey, look at us, we're starting a business, because they want to be their own boss, because they want to run things, because they have a vision on how they want it to be. And generally, two human beings will not have that same vision, and you're going to wind up with conflict. I personally, for me, I could not have a partner. I would need to have employees because, I can barely make decisions with my fiance, let alone, make decisions with a business partner, because I'm a lot less likely to back down on a business partner than I am on my fiance. I hired Brad, and he's working out really well. But you have to have your processes in place. You have to have documentation. You have to have anything that you can think of, and even things that you can't think of as they come up. Okay, when this happens, what's the process? And not everything's going to fit in those boxes, but if you have as many boxes as you can, hopefully you'll be able to land in them as much as possible, and you're going to get that image continuing to go out. You're going to still have that same level of service that your customers would have expected from you coming from the employee that you hired. So I think that's really important beyond the interviewing, beyond everything else in the training. So yeah. That's my opinion.
Okay. No, and these are exactly. I think when it comes to computer repair business or any type of business for that matter, you have to make a decision that you're comfortable with. And I've talked about this in a few podcasts before. Talking about liability, and there's certain things that you feel you can do in your business that you're going to be less liable for than other things. And so each individual business owner has to make those decisions themselves in whatever they're comfortable with. And you can't force a cookie cutter approach to doing your business. And to have different types of businesses, in my opinion, is a good thing. Not everybody's going to be great at everything. So pick what you're good at and do that. Yeah. And pick what you're comfortable with and continue with that, going that route. So I think these are great decisions being made by you guys and things that are thinking about. But I want everybody to know out there, it's going to, don't just listen to us. You've got to be comfortable with the decisions you're making for your own business.
Yeah.
So
that's my 2015 resolution, is actually to figure out that, because I feel like I'm doing well. I feel like I can do better. There's times when I am working enough, and there are times when I'm working way more than I should, or way more than I need to, and it affects every part of my life. Sure. I have a family, and I'm married with 2 kids, and we're looking at vacation times, and I have to plan vacations around work. Can I get somebody to take that? Can I, where are we going to vacation? Okay, will they have cellular service? Can I bring my laptop? And those are things that I should be able to, at some point now that it's been 3 years, unplug and be able to make sure that my company runs without me. But
well, let's be honest though, you're always going to have your cell phone with you.
Well, I know
You're
that.
always going to be available for your employees to call. Like, a really good example, just before the Christmas break, I went down to visit family, so I had Brad, we did some shift trading so that he was working for the weekend, which was slow anyway. But my cell phone was still attached to my hip. And then I got the flu, which is a whole other problem. But, I had my cell phone on me the entire time so that he could call me at a moment's notice and say, hey, listen, I don't know what to do, or hey, listen, I've got this problem coming up. What should I do?
Right.
You need to be there for that.
Well, yes, but what I need not to do is what's happened to me in the past is we go to Disneyland for vacation, and my kids and my wife are on a ride, and I'm sitting on a park bench on my cell phone, remoted into a server to fix server problems in the middle of Disneyland. That's what I need. I need to separate that break, and for me to do that, I'm going to have to hire an employee.
I'm going to tell you right now, and this is just coming from years of experience in a lot of different things. And here's because I do the same types of things. A lot of people. I shut my business down on Sundays, and somebody asked me the other day on one of the podcasts. They said, "Well, what if a good customer calls in?" I'd never know. He goes straight to voicemail, doesn't ring me, doesn't do anything. And I'm going to tell you right now. Here's what I had to come to a decision for myself. I can either beat my head against the wall consistently, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in growing my business, and if I never take time for me and my family, I'm going to die in early death. And I just said no, I'm not going to do that. So while I'm small, I want to set my business up to a point where I can go, no, when I separate, we're going on vacation, and there is no cell phone, there is no, those things will be there when I get back, and if they're not, so be it. I've got enough business to cover what needs to be covered. So I'm not going to be concerned about losing a couple customers while I'm going and enjoying vacation with my family. And really, I think that's a lot of things, because I've seen people in this business, just beat themselves up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not really have a whole lot to show for it, and still be so frustrated that I'm just like, I don't want to live that life. It's the same reason I made a decision that I didn't want to really do remodeling when I was 60 years old. Not that I couldn't, I just didn't. I was like, no, you know what? I really don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brain and use it for something where I can sit behind a keyboard, or tear a computer apart, or tear a laptop apart, or whatever. And because I can do that sitting down when I'm 60, 70, 80 years old versus
one way or another, you're sitting down.
Exactly. So but those are real decisions that I think a lot of people really have to think about in this business. And I've done the same things where I've gone into business and I said, you know what, I just got to put in my time, 3 to 5 years. I got to, and that's one way of thinking of it, but I don't think it's a healthy way of thinking of it. I think you can I think you can come up with a good alternative which will grow your business simultaneously while keeping a healthy lifestyle. And I think that's very important.
I think a lot of that comes down to what client base you're going after. Residential clients, yeah, absolutely, because it's a home computer, and everything's an emergency, but the emergency can wait.
Right.
Whereas if you're dealing with a business, that's a whole different bowl of fish, right? You need to deal with servers, you need to deal with point of sales, you need to deal with productivity software, and if they go, oh geez, well Jeff's on vacation, so I guess we'll have to wait until Monday, and there goes 2 days of income for that business. They're not going to do that. They're going to go somewhere else, and that's for a lot of people, that's a huge client to lose. So that's where you look at either answering services or having extra texts or somebody that you can call on or something, so that something is in place so that that phone is answered and those customers are taken care of.
Absolutely. That is one respect. Here's the thing though. What I've seen from the businesses that I've been a part of over the years is that their emergencies, they're not real emergencies. I've seen POS systems go down, and that's, for those that don't know, point of sale systems. not the other thing. And
Or it
I've
could
seen
be.
those.
It could be. Just honestly,
Well, okay,
if we're
depends
gonna,
on
we're gonna tell the truth here. It could be
brand.
POS systems going down.
But I've seen.
Those are
Yeah.
not mutually exclusive.
I've seen POS systems go down, and basically there was nothing that could be done at the time. Guess what they had to do? Oh my gosh, they actually had to do math and take cash. Woo. Oh, this is something new.
Don't tell a high schooler to calculate change. Listen, but then you get into I had a restaurant that I did work for. I still kind of do, but I haven't heard from them in a year and a half because I fixed everything. So I won't hear from them for another 2 years probably when they go to replace everything. Right? And the big thing that I did that nobody else would do for them is like they would not buy new systems. Would not buy new systems, okay? And I don't know if you guys have ever been in a kitchen. It's hot.
Oh yeah.
Okay? It is really hot. Okay? And the summers here, like everybody jokes about, Canadian winters come up here in the summer sometime. It's not as bad as say Florida, but it gets pretty bad. So there were like caps popping off motherboards all over the place. And what I wound up doing is bought 10 off-lease desktops. They have 3 point-of-sale systems. Bought 10 off-lease desktops, all completely identical models. Set up the hard drive, backed up the hard drive, and then when their computers failed, you just pull the hard drive out, put it in the new one, shove it in, you've got your point-of-sales back up.
Oh, nice.
So that system, I still have one of the spares here because I have proper air conditioning in the summer. They don't. So I have one of the systems here, and the rest of them are in a semi-cooled closet on site so that I or somebody else that I send out if I'm not there can just roll in, put it in. They're up and running in less than 2 minutes once we get on site. And then you take the computer back and fix that computer and add it to the spares.
Well, and here's the thing. So what we're talking about, you've made a way that you can be virtually hands-off because of the situation that you put together, thinking ahead of time instead of just putting out fires as they come to you.
Exactly. Keep the fire contained, and you don't have to worry about it spreading. Right? If their main point-of-sale system goes down, and I'm sorry, it's a pizzeria that's licensed, so they serve alcohol. All right. They also do all of their their employees swipe in at the till. So their time management and everything is set up there, and everything syncs with their QuickBooks. If that point-of-sale system is down, I've seen what happens when their point-of-sale system goes down.
Oh, I can imagine.
Okay, because now instead of handling 10 tables, that waiter or waitress can only handle 2. Because everything, you have to run back into the kitchen with a slip of paper with all of the info, because the ticket, the printer's not going to work. So the kitchen has no idea what they're cooking until that somebody brings it back to them. Then you have to calculate taxes and everything, and it's 13% tax up here. So now you got to calculate taxes and everything to go on there, and it's different types of taxes depending on whether they're getting alcohol, what type of food that they're getting, what they're doing, right? So it's extremely complicated in that kind of a situation to just say, just do math. It doesn't work. They wind up taking so much longer, like 5 times as long to get everything done.
Right.
So it's a lot of money for them to lose on a Friday night when the game's on. So, if you plan ahead and do something like that, you can go on vacation knowing that your employee can manage to pull a hard drive out of one box and put it in the other one and turn it on. And if that computer sits on the bench until I get back, I don't care because there's more spares.
Right. And I think that's what it comes down to is you set yourself up to a point where your business can still run even if you're not hands-on. And that's, so there's many different ways to skin a cat, so to speak. Not that I believe in skinning cats. I'm just saying there's many different ways to do things, and I think that it's important to look at every option. See, that's something that right off the top of my head, I don't know that I would have thought of. Oh yeah, let's set some spares up. And you probably, it sounds like you even went over and above, even more than what you really had to. You could have probably got a couple spares, but it sounds like you got a few spares in there to do what you need.
And the reason for it is because they refused to buy new systems, outright refused to do it.
Okay.
Because, that's not in the budget. Okay, but have you looked at the budget from the last year on how many times I've come out here and said, we really should replace this stuff?
Right.
Right. So, you sit down and you print out a report and say, okay, listen, here's my QuickBooks report from all the money that I've collected from you this year, and here's how much it's going to cost to replace your equipment.
Right.
And I'll only have to come up maybe a quarter. There's a lot of money savings going on here, and a lot of my time. Like, I love making money, and I have no problem going out to somebody's place every single day and billing them for it, but I'm going to feel bad after a while, right? So, the compromise was, well, we're not going to buy new systems, but hey, we'll buy some off-lease stuff. Well, if that's all you're going to do, yeah, it's half the price, but I'm still going to wind up coming out fairly often. Well,
Sure.
Turns out I was wrong because I actually did my job properly, but that's the whole different problem. I suppose.
And that's good. And that's these are just things to think about when you're doing these types of business deals. That taking care of the customer, making sure that they can, because I've often struggled with this in my head, going, I don't know that I'm, if somebody says, well, what do we need, and I tell them what they need, and they don't want it because of cost, I don't know that I'm necessarily going to want to support that business.
Yeah.
Unless I can come up with a cool way, like you just did, actually make it work in your favor.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I agree with you, and if that same situation happened now, I would have turned the job down. At the time, however, I was going through college, and, no real income, so you do the job so you can feed your kids or, go to the food bank. Right. I made my decision. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't put up with clients like that. So like, if you don't want me to do the job right, you can find somebody else, and that's it. Right? I'm not going to pirate anything. I'm not going to cheap out on parts. I'm not going to set you up for failure. I'm going to make sure that there's a proper plan in place. So that's like, the situation worked out this time, and that's fantastic. But a couple of years down the road, because I told them, like, hey, you're not going to want to use this equipment for more than 4 years. I'm going to wind up with a phone call, and they're going to say, hey, I want you to send someone out to get all our point of sale stuff replaced, and it's not going to be a bunch of off-lease stuff that we picked up cheap because we bought a skid full of them. I'm going to set up, here's your 3 point of sale systems, and here's your 2 spares, and here's your quote. And if you don't like that, there's 3 other businesses that I can refer you to that will be more than happy to cheap out on it.
Right.
Yeah, you got to set a level of your business and your responsibility, but you don't want to cheapen that, because it's if your name is on your business and my name's on my business and Jeff's name's on his business, if we skimp out or we get the bad rep because we've not done something to the fullest extent. I mean, there's days where I felt like I did this job, but I could have done it just a little bit better. Yeah. And or you've turned down a job and you kind of wonder, is that the right thing to do? You have to go to bed. If you own a business, you got to go to bed at night feeling like you've done the best thing you couldn't have done, and not, cheapened yourself, if you will, or done something, because that's really, then if that's what you're going to do, if you're just going to go in and just kind of willy-nilly do everything and cheapen yourself and just kind of go around it, chances are at some point something's bad is going to happen, and what may become bad maybe become like legally bad.
Oh, and yeah.
You never want to do that.
Like, just imagine if, like, okay, yes, so the customer wanted to cheap out on their point of sales. The customer wanted to cheap out on this. The customer wanted, and then, a month later, 2 months later, a year down the road, you get a phone call because the point of sale system crashed, the backup never worked, and now all of their financial data for however long is gone. Well, I mean, who are they going to blame?
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, that does become a legal problem now. I mean, up here, we'd be able to fight that because, the laws are a bit different. But I don't know what the laws are like down in the States, where from what I understand, there are a lot of states where a situation like that is going to wind up nailing you in court for not having a proper backup set up, or, telling them, well, yeah, I mean, here's everything that we did for you when we set up your backup, but because the backup didn't work, it's suddenly your responsibility. So I just wouldn't want anybody to be put in that kind of a position.
Yeah. Right. Well, not only that, I mean, I've gone to my my automotive shop and had my car worked on, and they've said, so what happens if the server crashes? I'm like, well, that's bad. And they said, well, because this computer crashed, and now it's telling me that the Windows XP, or not the Windows XP, but the Windows 7 license, it's being used by a couple other computers. I'm like, that's a problem.
Yep.
So that's, it's been resolved, but they were asking me, as because they know my job. They were asking me because they have another tech that handles their stuff. What does that mean? And I said that means that you have a copy of Windows XP being used somewhere else, and that don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times have we? I think we've all seen that. Even Chris, I know you're younger, but
even Chris.
I think we've all seen that in our businesses where somebody has. Man, I remember going into a church, and I couldn't believe this, but there were all these built machines that somebody had put together, and they all had an illegal copy of Windows XP on them. And I'm just like, yeah, that's why they were so cheap. Yeah. So cheaper. Let me just say this, people. Cheaper is not always better. You're not getting you're not getting the right stuff, and you definitely want the right stuff when you want your stuff to work, especially if you're doing a business or something like that. Yeah. Or even for your home residential stuff, though. I've had to tell clients that even on a residential computer, I'm like, you have an illegal copy of Windows 7 on here. I can't update it or anything like that. Oh, I know. Just clean it up. Well, okay, it's
See, but that's the thing. My response to that is not going to be okay. My response to that is going to be, I can clean it up, but this needs to be resolved. And here's how much it costs for the Get Genuine kit, or actually whatever the thing is that you do now. And then here's how much it costs for everything else. So here's your total quote. And if you're not going to do that, you're going to need to take your computer somewhere else, because I'm not going to work on that computer. And I know it's been a debate, and I've been in the forums, and people argue back and forth. Well, it's not really our responsibility, but I mean, this is, again, I'm working on that computer. And if I'm going to work on this computer and I see, hey, listen, this is not licensed software, this needs to be licensed, I'm sorry, I'm not touching that computer until that's been fixed.
Right, because as soon as you start working on that computer, though, it does become your problem, because they're going to call the last person who worked on it, and we've all been there. I worked on a computer, now my VCR doesn't work. What did you do to my computer that made my TV stop working? They call the last person who worked on it, and if it goes to court or something happens and they said, well, you worked on it, and it says it's an illegal copy of Windows XP, I mean, I don't know if that's going to hold up very well in court, but I'm just, from a legal point of view, you're the last one who touched it. At that point, you may want to just say, I've never had to go because this wasn't my client. I just advised them, you're going to want to get a legal copy of Windows 7. But if they said, would you come fix this? I would say, yes. Let's reinstall Windows. Or let's buy licenses and not reinstall, but, activate it.
Yeah.
Could you just work on this? I know it's a legal copy, but can you just clean it up? Well, no. That's because I don't want to put myself in that position.
Yeah.
If you want to take it out of Staples and pay the $40, go for it. Let them deal with the legal ramifications. But that's not. I'm not big enough to deal with the ramifications. Staples maybe.
Well, it's $149. But anyways, the
well, no, here computer cleanup. I've seen it. Or Office Depot computer cleanup $49.99.
Oh yeah, but what they don't tell you is that and then this is extra, and then this is extra.
I know that, but let Office Depot deal with it.
Now, here's the thing. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's the thing, though. Like on this particular machine, I was doing a hardware fix. It was actually a screen repair. But, obviously to test the screen, I got to turn the computer on. But, and I want to test, whatever hardware I'm replacing. So in this instance, I did a screen repair on it. He had a license for Vista on the bottom of the machine. And so I basically explained to him, I said, listen, we can put Vista back on here, because he was complaining about some other issues. I'm like going, yeah, you can't update this. It's an illegal copy. It's, I've had it like that for a long time. And he was sitting there trying to figure out what was going wrong. I knew what was going wrong. It's because you had an illegal copy and certain things on that laptop weren't working. So, and I gave him the choice. I said, we can go back to Vista or we can leave it alone. I'm not dealing with that as far as the operating system. But, as far as a screen repair, absolutely. Yeah,
but you didn't know before you started the repair.
No, I didn't.
Right. So this is so in that type of a situation, there is absolutely nothing in your hands that would even legally, I would like to think. Please consult your lawyer. You got to get that disclaimer out there. That you had nothing to do with the fact that there was an illegal copy on there. You did the repair before you even knew about it, and as soon as you found out, you approached the customer and said, listen, you should really fix this. At the very least, I would be putting on the work order and on the invoice, this was discovered after the repair was done. Advised customer they should really do one of these two things.
That's a good point.
And then that's it. Now you've covered yourself.
Yeah.
It's different if you knew at the beginning before you started working on it. I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
But even in a situation like you said that the church situation, right, where you go into a church and they have all these, there is zero excuse for that, because if you go through the refurbisher program, do you have any idea how cheap citizenship licenses are? They're for nonprofits.
Okay.
Okay. I don't. I'm pretty sure in the terms I'm not allowed to actually say what the price is, because anybody that's not in the program isn't supposed to know, I guess. But it's cheap,
Well,
like cheap enough that I would eat the cost.
Right. Everybody who is not part of it. Just cover your ears, and then. No, I'm just kidding.
but really, I mean it's so super cheap, because like the regular refurbisher licenses are already very inexpensive.
Right.
Let's say between 10 and what 10 and $20 or something like that. Hold on. No, like $50.
Between $14 and $16.
Yeah. No, it's like $50-ish for like regular licenses, and then citizenship licenses are somewhere between $10 and $20 depending on how many you're buying. Why would a church have pirated software when you seriously could have eaten the cost of the license to sell it to a nonprofit?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Or even back then, even with the volume licensing that they had, the volume licensing even back then was fairly inexpensive for what they were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, somebody was building machines. They brought them in, and they said, "Hey, we can sell you this machine for $150."
Yep.
And you know that there's at least $150 worth of parts in there, or maybe $100 worth of parts or whatever. And you're like going, really? That's awful cheap. And this was years ago. So, but yeah, no, I you know what? Be legit in your business. Do the right things. Even if you do something wrong in the beginning, not necessarily knowing, just correct it over time and say, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to be legit, because if you're going to stay in this business for the long haul, eventually that will catch up with you if you keep doing things that are quote unquote illegal.
Yep.
Yep.
No, absolutely. And the last thing you want to do is wind up having somebody calling you 3 years later and like, my computer's not working, and oh wait, I built them this computer. Oh, and it has a pirated version of Windows because I was being cheap. And now you're running into a position where you're trying to run this very nice established business, and then these skeletons start jumping out of the closet from things that you did in the early days.
Exactly.
Just load Linux from the beginning.
Problem solved.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, sorry, too soon?
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Wait, what show am I on?
Yeah, this is
It
not
doesn't
the
really
Geeksters,
matter.
okay?
This is the Martin show now.
Oh, it's good to be on top.
This is the Martin Obando show. That's right. Anyways, let me. Rob Milligan sent a email in during the show. He says he has a cold right now and doesn't want to call in. So let me read his email.
Do you read it? Plug your nose when you read it. Just,
Dear Jeff.
there you go.
All right. I was wondering if anyone had any experience using Pulseway. While I know it's best to concentrate on either break fix or MSP, not both, but would you, Chris or Martin, recommend Pulseway for those who are thinking about offering MSP services? Thanks in advance for any feedback. Rob from Remote C Help Desk.
Pulseway. I've never heard of Pulseway, but I just looked it up.
I've never heard of Pulseway.
It's a remote management system.
Yes.
That's what it is.
It basically looks like you can remotely monitor and control IT systems from any smartphone or tablet. It says it's making IT heroes. I love it. Making IT heroes. But so this kind of goes back to what we were talking about. Hey, you're on vacation and you need to check in and something's going wrong with the server. Oh, just let me reboot that, type thing. I don't know anything about Pulseway itself. This is the first time I've ever seen it. I'm looking at the web page right now. I'm sure it works fine, like any of the other, tens of millions of systems out there. So,
it looks like they did a great job with their website.
Yeah.
I've never used their service, Company is 11 or from 2011, so they're 4 years old. So I mean yeah. Here's the thing though, and I just want to toss this into what you were talking about here, um, where you don't want to go into remote management if you specialize in break fix.
Thank you, Chris, because I want to go into that anyways.
Yeah, who told you that? Um, Look, okay, so you can absolutely get into as far into it as you want, whether you're just monitoring workstations or if you start getting into monitoring servers. I mean, that's a decision that you need to make based off of the experience and education and whatever that you have. So I mean, that's cool. If you know servers and you're a break fix guy and people call you for server stuff, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be offering some sort of a managed service so that you can monitor that server and keep it running. Rather than just relying on the break fix, because it's going to make you more money and it's going to be better for the customer because they're going to have better uptime. However, if your concern is that you can't get into the servers, then just focus on the workstations. So a really good example is with our managed service plan that we offer to our clients through the white label. A lot of the time what we wind up with is our clients will have a computer brought in for virus removal or a tune-up, and they'll upsell them on the managed service plan because it has the antivirus and the unlimited virus removals included in it. So instead of just charging the customer, $99 for a tune-up or $129 for a virus removal, they're charging $150 for 6 months or $250 for a year, and then the customer's covered, right? And then they start renewing. So you can do something like that very low key, and if you don't want to do it yourself, email me, and there's my plug.
There you go.
But in all honesty, though, like GFI is what we use for it, and it works great. If you wanted to try a different system, obviously I can't really give you any advice on that because GFI is what we stuck with after doing our research. So yeah, just play around with it, but it's definitely something that I think everybody should be offering in some fashion.
And here's the thing, if you're just getting into this type of work, what I would suggest is most of these companies, you get a 30-day free trial with most of them. So sign up for the free trial, try it out on maybe some computers that you have set up at the house and see what it does before maybe you take it to the client base and see if that works for you. And, see how easy it is to get in the system, how easy it is to get around, to understand it. I will tell you that, and Chris or Martin, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a learning curve to everything, every piece of software that we use in this business, no matter what it is. There's nothing that I've seen that is like intuitive that I just get it. And maybe I'm just dumb, but it seems like there's a lot of work that goes into figuring these systems out, figuring out how they're going to work for you, what needs to be done, how it can be tweaked, and you'll still be learning things months and years later. There you go. I didn't know that did that. Or maybe they're advancing the program and it gets better over time. But there's a lot of times where I think I look at things and go, I didn't know it did that. Oh, yeah, it's been doing that for years. Really?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about because I pick up a piece of software and I just know it.
Of course you do because, you're
there.
That's right.
You're super Chris. Okay.
But I gave you thumbs up on the GFI because that is what I use as well. And
okay.
I think who sent in the email?
This was Rob.
Okay, because I think he's remote tech in the chat, correct?
He's remote C in the chat there.
I can tell you that my GFI cost that because I also use GFI for my remote management and well not remote management but my monitoring and stuff like that. It's less than PulseWave's cost.
Okay.
So.
I can tell you that you probably don't use nearly as many services through GFI as I do.
No, I don't. I don't because I use other products to do certain other things But if he's looking at just monitoring, the base monitoring for GFI is cheaper than that.
Yes.
The 16 he's quoting.
Yeah, the base monitoring is if you're not using automated any of the automated scripting, web protection, all those extra features, then the GFI per system is very low, and they start doing bulk rates as well once you get over a certain number of systems. So that's something to consider.
Do you know how many systems?
800.
Oh, never mind. I'm at 106 plus 4 servers, so I thought, oh, maybe. No.
Oh, no. Yeah, you got... it's nice when you get there, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I use the monitoring and then the antivirus, but not the web backup or anything like that. Right now.
Okay. I could probably quote you your bill at this point. But yeah, no, but it's a great system, and really it's expandable to what you want it to do. Like every single workstation in my dashboard is capped out because they cap the per workstation fee at a certain point. And I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about the actual numbers, but you can only spend up to a maximum amount on each workstation, and I have that capped because I'm using everything. So I have the automated tasks running. I have 9.8 built into it, and it's run through GFI, so I can monitor that. So there's a lot that you can do with it if you can figure it out. And that's where a lot of it comes into. Like now, I mean, when I first launched the service, I think I was quoting people that I spent like 40 something hours setting it all up. I'm pretty sure I'm now at around 70 because you have to keep on updating your stuff, right? So you just once you put in the time, you can make a lot of money off of it. You just have to set it up right.
Right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but TeamViewer comes with their license, correct?
No. Take Control is a separate feature, which is a paid feature, and it is per workstation. But yes, we do have the Take Control in there because, I mean, if somebody's calling me from a plane and saying, hey, there's a virus on that computer that I somehow missed, I don't want them to have to wait until they come home to fix it. We need the unattended.
Right. I don't use TeamViewer for mine, but the reason is because I'm running Linux, and Linux. I've been able to get GFI and TeamViewer to work together, but you have to really modify the TeamViewer backend on Linux, and so I have another product that I've been using for years before GFI. So,
hey, and you don't have to use everything from one vendor. There's what you need is a system that works for you, and a system that is cost effective, not cheap. Please do not confuse the two, and that you can use, and that gives you the tools that you need. So that's the reason why we picked up Instant House Call, right? Very clearly, Instant House Call works for us. It is affordable without being cheap. There are cheap services out there that I won't use anymore, and it has the built-in tools that we use every day that makes our job easier. But I know that there are some of my clients that I've had conversations with. They absolutely hate Instant House Call for either because something happened or just because they love the system that they're using right now and therefore everything else is evil. But it works for them. So why would you want to change that?
Right.
Well, and that's what it goes back to is, like I said earlier, you got to use what you're comfortable with in your business. And that's why I'm so glad that there are many different vendors out there. Don't think that there's a end-all to end-all of vendors that have the best product out there, because things are always changing, growing, and some things will just work better. And I'll give this story out again, but I found my Microsoft Zune much more intuitive than any iPod at the time that I had put my hands on, and I just didn't. The iPod to me, the regular iPod with the circle thing, was not intuitive to me. The Zune with the Squircle or whatever they called it, that for whatever reason their operating system was just intuitive, because that is actually where I discovered podcasts. I would have never discovered podcasts on an iPod. Never. It would have never happened. So,
Jeff?
Yes.
Really sorry to cut in. Are you logged into the soft phone?
Yes. I'm logged in. Why? Did somebody call?
Oh, Freddie said that he called. I'm going to test the phone.
Okay.
Keep talking. Sorry.
Sorry, that's all right. Anyway, so you got to find what works for you and how you understand things. I use GFI. I'm through Chris, but I've logged into it. It seems like it's fairly easy to use. It's easy to get on a customer's computer, check out what's going on. You can look at their monitoring, what's happening on their computer. So you know what? Like I said, a lot of these things have a 30-day trial. Just try it out and see what works best for you. And you know what? Try different things. I mean, Martin, how many remote support softwares have you used since you started your computer repair business?
Oh, 7, 8. Before I finally landed on one that I really liked that fit the needs that I needed. Now, my needs are different than other people because I do support some Linux service, so I need to be able to get into some Linux boxes. And I run a Linux box is my main machine, so
gotcha.
That's also that was high on my list that I had to make sure that I could use the application.
All right, hold on. I do see a call coming through now.
There it goes.
We'll try different things. I mean, how many...
Hey, welcome to Podnutz Computer Repair Podcast. Can you turn your speakers down a little bit?
Yeah, it's like the radio, man. We don't want feedback.
Yeah. Get that feedback loop. How you doing, Fred?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing excellent.
Oh, Fred, I miss your voice.
Oh, I know, Martin. I saw you were on the show, and I just had to call in. Now, actually, I actually have a legitimate question. It's a dumb one, albeit. And as you guys well know, I'm just a hobbyist, if you will.
There are no dumb questions.
However,
just stupid hosts.
That's true.
You guys might be good to answer this one because I use instant house call for my remote support, which by remote support I mean my parents. And my dad had a virus on his laptop the other day, or something. At any rate, so I was trying to get remoted into him, and every time he'd open the instant house call client, it would just open and close. And by the way, this isn't headed towards an instant house call problem, by the way. So I had him go into safe mode, and then I was able to get into safe mode. It would run in safe mode, and I got in, was able to run a few scans, and then all of a sudden, the same thing happened again. We couldn't get in safe mode or normal mode. So, of course, I don't have process and procedures in place, as I was scolded by Lisa for not having them, by the way. And so I thought to myself, proxy. So I had him go into Internet Explorer, connections, LAN settings, blah, blah. And sure enough, there was a tick, that had a proxy tick in there.
Yep.
As soon as he unticked that, instant house call opened up and worked perfectly.
Yep.
So the question is, how can that proxy tick in Outlook Express affect instant house call not opening?
Because that proxy tick and any other settings in Internet Explorer affects every program on your computer on how it connects to the Internet. So if you've got a proxy set up in Internet Explorer, it affects all of your browsers and any other program that connects to the Internet.
Oh, okay.
And that's
I didn't know that.
Well, and that's just to show you how ingrained Internet Explorer is into the operating system of a Windows computer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Here
kidding.
comes Martin with his Linux stuff.
So,
And Linux, you don't know.
Yeah. So, Fred, one of the things I always do when I'm doing a cleanup, and sometimes I do it earlier than later, a lot of times I will always reset the browsers. And quite honestly, a lot of people disagree with me. I remove every toolbar. I don't care what the customer says. I let the customers know straight up, if you want to install that again, have at it. I will not install it. I won't put it in. I clear the browser out, and I reset them back to factory default settings, which wipes everything out. And I'm like, this is because here's how I know that this is going to be 100% clean and clear of problems, and then you can go back in and put the little, pieces of stuff on there. But a lot of people really, they didn't put most of that stuff in their browser anyways. It's just stuff that was added on over time. So I've never had anybody push back on that. They're just glad that when they click Internet Explorer, that they can get on that computer and it goes to where they need to go, and it's much faster than it was.
Right. Yeah, and I typically do the exact same thing. I take them all off because I know nobody put them there. But in this specific case, it really wasn't a matter of that. It was just getting in, and I just wasn't aware that it was so, like Barton said, was so ingrained that it don't happen. Of course, they say you learn from your own mistakes, and I certainly did on this one. I'll know where to start.
Well, I've had Outlook issues that have been resolved. Outlook, like Outlook 2010, with the not Outlook Express, with the full Outlook issues that have been resolved by resetting the Internet Explorer. By resetting IE.
Absolutely.
You're right. They're also linked. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and this, downloading executables off of the Internet. Instant House Call, perfect example, right? Can't download even the safe.exe. Something's blocking it. Chrome, Firefox, neither one of them work. And then you go to Internet Explorer, same thing, right? Your current security settings won't allow you to download these files. You reset IE back to default, and you don't have to do the little check the box for change all my personal settings. Just do the reset, and suddenly all of your browsers will be able to download again. And it's because there was a security setting in Internet Explorer that got checked by something or someone, probably something,
right,
and stopped every browser from being able to do it.
So moving forward, one of the ways to check this, Fred, is to install Firefox. And why I say Firefox over Chrome is because if you go to the connection settings in Chrome, it defaults back to the IE connection settings. So Firefox has its own separate setting So have him have this client, or your father in this instance, download Firefox and then try to run it through that way.
Right. Okay. Well, we got them all working now.
Well, I'm just for future.
Also, Martin, Instant House Call is an installed program on the computer when you get it on there. It's not just an extension. So that wouldn't have fixed anything, but
okay.
It's absolutely a good thing to know.
Well, I thought he was. It sounded like I thought he was trying to go to a web page and then run, click here to connect type.
Oh
button.
no, he already had the client installed on his machine.
Okay, so it was already a standalone install.
Yeah, flat out, it was the proxy just stopping it from the program running.
Okay, well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to give a big shout-out to myself.
I thought you were going to say Geeksters there for a moment, but it's okay.
No, I see. I'm going to give Corey a little shameless plug here. I see on your Podnutz site the Instant House Call Uno edition for $29 per month, and it's funny because when I was at the Mike Tech show, I met Corey. I had approached him about doing exactly that. Because I'm like, I don't do enough to, spend $50 a month, and he's like, well, I don't only have it. All of a sudden, I see he's got the Uno edition for $20. I think you should call it the Fred edition.
Instant House Call Fred.
Yeah, look at that new Uno edition. I've never even heard of this yet.
I mean, either. I was just checking out.
That's exactly what I told him. I said, I can spend that, but man, $50 a month, that's a lot of green, when you don't do it for a living, you're not making any money off of it.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, here you go. Yeah, one session at a time. And that's great for somebody smaller that doesn't have to help more than one person at a time.
Right.
I think it's beautiful for guys like me.
I would probably die if I could only do one session at a time. But $29 a month for one, that's really good.
Yeah.
It's got everything else in there too.
Yep.
Well, hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Thanks for the answer, and Jeff, thanks for hopping in our little chat thing. I hope it didn't disturb you too badly and give you nightmares. So
it's all good.
Don't be a stranger. Hey guys, we'll talk to you later.
All right.
See you, Fred.
Talk to you later, Fred.
Thanks. Take care.
I do have to say that I miss Fred on Geeksters. Fred was, I miss you, Fred. So we'll have to get you back on Geeksters.
There you go. I'll tell you one of the other things too is I love a lot of these vendors that you can bring things up like that, and just like Fred mentioned, the Uno edition, where if you're only doing one session at a time, which most small techs, that's all they're going to be doing anyways. $29 a month, what a deal, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned something. I use the Windows 8, program, the Windows 8 app or 8.1 app for Instant House Call, and I was asking him some questions about where's this menu at. And because the apps aren't very intuitive to me all the time, I had forgotten the whole right-click on the border type thing. And so he said, well, if you have any suggestions on how to make that so people know, I said, well, yeah, just put something in there in writing that says right-click for more options, here or whatever.
Yeah, it's a tooltip.
And he did that. So I was like, oh, cool.
See, and that's what's great about dealing with a smaller company. I mean, not that they do a great job and they're very successful and they make great software. And I'm very happy with my Instant House Call system. And I know that he's going to wind up growing eventually because you have to. But right now, even at the trade shows, Corey's the one that's there.
Yeah.
The owner of the company is in the booth. There is nobody better to talk to about his software than him. And you just don't get that with LogMeIn. Imagine saying, you know what, I want to talk to the owner of LogMeIn because I want to make some suggestions and I feel that I want to make those to the owner. And you're going to get laughed at.
Right.
Right? But here's Corey in the booth taking advice, or not advice, but taking a suggestion from a potential client, implementing that.
Right. Well,
wow.
It's awesome, and it's the same thing. I've had the same thing with with D7 too. Mm-hmm. I've made several suggestions to Nick, and Nick Shaw, the creator, and same thing. He goes, as soon as I hold back now. I don't really say anything because I know as soon as I say something, all of a sudden his fingers hit the keyboard and he's just like, here, how about this? I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, I'm not even done asking my question yet. What do you?
So it is great, and that's why I encourage everybody out there to support some of these vendors that we're friends with in the community, and also support our networks and stuff like that, because it's very important that, as long as you can use their product and it works for you, go ahead and use it. And I'm not going to say that there's one product for every person again. I'm going to say that if it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, find something else. But there's a lot of different companies out there that, more than willing to, help in that fashion, because everybody's at a growth stage, I think, right now, and everybody's on the move.
And I think mention that. I mean, actively look for that. If you really like Instant House Call, get a hold of, I forget his name now. Is it
Corey.
Corey.
Oh, I'm Chris.
Yeah, you're Chris. That's why I was like, it's not Chris. Sorry. Get a hold of Corey. Send him an email. Let him know that. Send Nick an email. Let him know that it's a good product. If you have a local IT shop that you're working with, send them an email. I don't know. There are times when I've gotten little notes from the owner of a company, or the owner of the company will say something in passing to me of, hey, we just want to let you know that you're doing a great job here. Things have gone so smooth since you got here. We're enjoying that. I mean, if I had the worst day ever, and all of a sudden an employee from a major company of mine, said that, I feel so much better. And so I just, coming from somebody who doesn't, being a tech, you don't get a whole lot of praise. You're kind of the janitor. If it's working,
clean up the mess.
If it's working, you don't hear much about it. But as soon as the bits overflow over the toilet, you're going to hear about it.
That's perfect.
Send them a little note.
No, and that's good. Yeah, everybody needs that form of encouragement. And I just want to say right now that I want to thank everybody that has sent emails in and has given this show kudos for bringing good, relevant information that's helping technicians out there. I've heard some maybe some not so nice things, but
I did apologize. I'm sorry.
Well, I know, no. But overall, I think people are they like the information we're putting out, and we're here for the community and to help, and that's what we're all about, and that's why we do the show on a weekly basis to have different guests, and obviously you see me and Chris every week, but that's good because we're both beautiful, and not that you're not beautiful, Martin, but
I can take a hint. I see where this is going.
But no, I just really do appreciate it because I'm glad that people are getting something out of this, and it makes it worthwhile to continue to do when people are engaging in the conversation, and that's really what we're trying to do, is engage in a conversation, help each other out. We don't have all the answers, but I can always learn something new. We all can, and I think that's why we do what we do. So with that, I'm going to tell you what, guys, we've had a good, fully packed show, and I think next week, we're going to talk, we had a topic, but we kind of went in a different direction, which was awesome, and I love when it works out like that. But I think next week we're going to talk about referrals, and we're going to talk about how to get referrals, how to keep referrals, how to, spread the word about your business, if you're in that growth stage. If you're too big and you got to hire somebody, then that's a whole nother decision you have to make. But I'll tell you what, Martin, if you want to let people know what you're all about and what you're up to lately, let it rip.
Sure. Martin at obandocomputing.com. So I have my own little small business, but I'm also one of the hosts on Geeksters on the Podnutz Network. Tuesdays, 3:30 p.m. East Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We start kind of in that general area. It's kind of hit and miss depending on getting, we're trying to get people from, just like you guys, you try to get everybody, people from in different areas of the country together to do a show. But we always come out and we just have a great time. We talk about just anything geeky. I mean, really, we've covered a gamut of things. I have to go to the store today and get a Rubik's Cube. That's on my to-do list. I brought up a web page last time where you could put in a Rubik's Cube and it'll solve it for you. It'll tell you how to solve it. Well, Tim called me out on it. He said, "I don't believe you. Have you tested it?" I said, "I haven't." So I have to go to the store after the show to get a Rubik's Cube, give it to my kids, and say, "Just scramble it," and then I'm going to put it in and see if I can solve it via this webpage.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, Tuesday afternoons. I always put out something out on Google Plus. I always put, if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, or I try to throw things in the chat room ahead of time, but it's usually kind of last minute. Hey, we're coming live in 30 minutes type thing.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a great show. Yeah, definitely check those guys out. And I appreciate you taking the time because I know you have to do a little bit of scheduling change in order to make it to this show on Sunday because it's a little earlier and you got some other things going on with church and stuff like that. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to be here and come out and share. It's always fun to have you.
Well, you guys, I enjoy listening to the show. So it's an honor to be invited to come out and hang with you guys. I feel like I'm hanging out with the big dogs.
Okay.
What?
You talk about you, Chris.
I
Anyway,
just got here.
Chris, go ahead and pimp yourself.
I don't think I can follow that. All
Hold on, I gotta cover my ears first.
All right, so my name is Chris. I own Remote Support Tech Team. We do white label technical support for IT companies. You can email us, info@rstechteam.com. And we also have our newsletter, which Jeff has been very gracious in putting up a sign-up link for you guys to do that. And if you want to get some discounts on QuickBooks software, including QuickBooks Online, sign up for the newsletter, and I will get that for you.
Great. I definitely tell everybody if you need help in your business and you're not really wanting to necessarily hire somebody, definitely check Chris's company out. He does an awesome job with what he does, and he can kind of alleviate some of those nagging things that you have to take care of all the time. So definitely go over to rstechteam.com and check that out. All the links will be in the show notes for his new newsletter and website and all that.
Oh, and getting out into MSP stuff, like we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Call me for MSP stuff.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Well, I want you guys to come check out also Ken Dwight, the virus doctor. He's doing a free 2-part webinar on advanced virus removal techniques for Podnutz on February 4th and the 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're in a different time zone, you can Google it and figure out which time zone it is. If you want to check out the interview that I did with Ken Dwight, it's Podnutz and Computer Repair Podcast number 107, and I will have a sign-up link in the show notes where you guys can sign up for the free webinar. If you guys are even interested in learning and advancing your virus removal techniques, I would encourage you to take Ken's free 2-part webinar. He's got a little homework assignment in there, and he's got some discounts and different things like that. And it taught me a couple things on the way that I do business, and I'm changing the way that I do my virus removals based on that. And also, I'm going to take his full 8-hour course. And because I'm in a mode of this is the year for improvement, and I want to improve in my techniques and the things that I do. So come check that out. You guys can find me over on the Google Plus at Jeffery Halash or Twitter at TechNutPC. And if you want, you can leave a voicemail at 1-888-697-0162. If you're a computer repair tech and would like to be a guest on Podnutz Daily, please email me at podnutzdaily@podnutz.com. We're always looking for techs to come on the show. Even if you've been on before, give me an email. If you want a certain subject talked about, let's do it. And over the next couple weeks, you'll kind of see how that works because I have a couple special ones coming out over the next 2 Mondays. If you guys would like to feature your product or service on this show, please email me at podnutz@podnutz.com. If you have a piece of tool or a software that's in the computer repair field, come and tell the computer repair techs about it, because we need to know about the new stuff that's out there. And if you guys can, leave us a rating and review over on iTunes. You can also help support the Podnutz Network. Next time you're shopping at Amazon, go to podnutz.com/Amazon. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. Good show, fellas.
Do. Sorry.
That's enough do.
He misses the music. I stopped doing the music because I ran into a problem where I actually had to use part of the YouTube recording, and it was hard to match the stuff up with the music. So I decided to go away from that. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. I know we went a little bit long, but I think it's always great to come on here and just share with you guys and just to see the direction that everything goes. I love when somebody calls in with a question, and there are no dumb questions. Everybody has a different way of doing something, and I think it's important that we talk about those different ways, because I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm doing something, not wrong, but if I'm doing it maybe not as efficiently as I could be, I want to be more efficient. So I'm willing to learn from somebody, whether you've only been in the computer repair field for a short period of time or in a long period of time. Because I know, here's the thing, when I first started in computer repair, man, I really, really loved it. And I would spend hours and hours and hours in learning and growing and changing. And then you kind of get to a point where you get old and cranky and you say, "Get off my lawn," to all the little kids that pass by. But
I'm already that guy.
These young kids with their virus protection software. Back in my day, you used to use a command line to erase those things.
oh, so I
yelled star.
yeah, exactly. All right, Martin. Hey, I appreciate you coming on again, and we'll definitely talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks for coming,
Bye-bye.
Martin.
No problem. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Did you get that Virtuix link that I put up there?
No, I did not. What was it?
Click on it.
Well, yeah, Virtuix Omni.
Yeah.
Oh no
This
way.
is we're gonna wind up supporting these at some
Listen.
point.
Okay, I saw this on Shark Tank, and they were, the one guy, they thought it was really cool, and the one guy, I can't remember which host's name it was, but he basically, what we're looking at it for everybody that's, we're looking at.
Here, I'm gonna put the link.
Yeah,
I thought
go
I put the link in, but I'm gonna put the link in there.
Virtuix.com. And it's basically a stand-up, you kind of run in a first-person shooter. You've got a gun, you turn, and it's a virtual reality video game.
It can work for anything. Like, yes, first-person shooters is probably what it's going to be used for the most, but it can be used for RPGs, MMOs, pretty much anything that involves turning.
Yeah, like
so any 3D environment.
MMO, right?
Yeah, you do.
I know. I'm just.
What? When they announced this on Kickstarter, the first thing I did is I turned to my fiance and I said, "You know what? I think I just came up with a new exercise regimen."
Well, and that's the thing. The guy spent I think he was on there for maybe 20 seconds, and just playing the beginning of a game, and he was winded. So.
Right, and then so what you wind up doing is you wind up you can play longer and longer. Right, it's like a treadmill. Right, first time you go onto a normal treadmill, and you're like, "Oh my God, how I've been on here for an hour? Oh, it's been 10 seconds."
Right.
But then after a while, you're doing like a 30-minute jog, and it's not even bothering you. So same idea. And I was actually looking at it, and the way that because it's bowl shaped, the way that the shoes fit into the slots and all that, it actually causes less friction than actual running. So you should be able to go about twice as long than what you'd normally be able to do running. So I don't know. I don't want to know what kind of shape that person was in.
I think it's great, and I think if these things are, I'm glad that somebody's looking into these types of devices and trying to make them better. We've had virtual reality for it's years. I mean, years and years and years, and it's just been poor implementations, or you've got to start somewhere. But I'm definitely going to check this website out because this looks very interesting.
Oh, for sure, yeah, because you have two components here. You have the Omni, which is the big thing that you're standing in and running in, and then there's the Oculus Rift. This actually couples with the Oculus Rift.
Right.
So it's a fully immersive experience at that point where you've got the 3D of the Oculus Rift, which you track your movements with, and now you have a full turning 360-degree platform that you can actually run on.
Right.
So it's you're putting yourself right into your game, or your maybe you have like a I don't know, like you want to go out for a run, but it's winter outside and you can't do a treadmill because, oh my God, treadmill. Right. Well, then so at some point somebody's going to come up with a piece of software that will connect to your computer or to your console, and you can use the Omni to go for a jog, and it's actually a jog. See, so people will pay money for that.
Right, and I love if you look at the videos on here, the crouching functionality R&D.
Yeah.
Dude, your legs would be screaming after 5 minutes of doing the whole crouching.
The only thing that sucks about that is to go prone, you have to crouch down and then lean forward.
Okay.
And that's the only thing that's unfortunate about that whole thing is going prone. But everything else is great. They have a video of somebody in Skyrim Elder Scrolls Skyrim, which I would argue is one of the most immersive experiences that you're going to have just playing it.
Oh, yeah.
And they put somebody on this machine in that game, and it was completely mind-blowing, the detail and everything. So it's, I think it's something that we're going to see coming out, in the next few years, where people are going to start buying these, and we're going to get called to do setup.
Very cool. No, it looks awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that website out. I appreciate that. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we are going to go ahead and stop the broadcast, and just appreciate you guys coming out. We'll be here next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Check it out.